The Shadow Awakens. December 16 began in silence, not the warm, peacefully kind, but the kind that listens. Outside the snow glittered in the moonlight, and inside the fire burned low. Miss Sophie lay curled up in her donut, paws tucked beneath her. But sleep would not come. Something was different tonight. She lifted her head. A cold draft crept across the floor. The door to the hallway was slightly ajar. "Wimse?" she called softly. No answer. Only the faint sound of snow sliding from the roof. Then she heard it. A soft rustling, a whisper from the shadows. She rose slowly, her tail stiff with unease. The chill seeped through the crack in the door, and in the darkness 2 yellow eyes gleamed. "I'm not gone," hissed a voice, low and coarse, like wind through a cracked chimney. "I live in her every heart that doubts." Miss Sophie froze. The shadow stood in the doorway, dark and alive, shaped like smoke. It didn't walk, it drifted, silent and fluid. She could feel fear stirring inside her, cold and heavy like frost in her chest. But then she remembered the letter, the very first words she had read that December. "Use the key with care." Miss Sophie took a deep breath. She felt the key against her chest, small, fragile, but still warm. She would not let the shadow see her fear. "You live in hearts that doubt," she said quietly, "but I live in hearts that hope." She lifted her gaze, and in that instant the shadow looked into her eyes. And what it saw was not fear, but light. The light grew, as if her gaze itself was a flame. The room brightened, not with firelight, but with something deeper, something true. The shadow screeched. Its shapes began to crack apart in the dark, dissolving like mist meeting the sun. It twisted, its voice thinning to a whisper. "You can never get rid yourself from me completely," it hissed. "I am the part that makes the light necessary." Miss Sophie nodded calmly. "I know, but tonight you do not belong here." The shadow rose in one last gasp and was gone. The cold wind it, and the door closed silence behind. Miss Sophie stood alone in the quiet room. The fire flickered again, warmed, slowly returning. She sat and looked down at the key. It shimmered faintly, almost transparent now, yet still alive. "I choose you with care," she whispered, "and maybe I finally understand what that means." A sigh drifted from above. Wimse apparently hadn't been sleeping as deeply as she pretended. "Was that something?" she mumbled drowsily. "I dream of a giant black cat trying to steal my blanket." Miss Sophie smiled. "Just an old shadow. It's find out another place to sleep." "Good," said Wimse, rolling over, "because I don't share my blanket with anyone who doesn't bring snacks." Miss Sophie croggled softly, curled back into her donut, and wrapped her tail around herself. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft, calm, and peaceful. The light inside the little house was faint, yet steady. The shadows still lingered, somewhere far away, but they knew now that hope lived here. That was the end of the 16th December, and I hope you will come back tomorrow if you dare to hear about how a friend in the dark can be a good thing to have. Merry Christmas.